Human digestive system. Biomacromolecules like carbohydrates and proteins in food cannot be utilized by our body in their original form. They have to be broken down and converted into simple substances, such as glucose and amino acids, in the digestive system. During the digestion process, biomacromolecules like carbohydrates get broken into simple sugars such as glucose, fats into fatty acids and glycerol, and proteins into amino acids. This process of conversion of complex food substances to simple absorbable forms is called digestion. Alimentary canal. The food passes through a continuous canal called the alimentary canal. The canal can be divided into various compartments. 1, the buccal cavity. 2, the food pipe or esophagus. 3, the stomach. 4, the small intestine. 5, the large intestine ending in the rectum. And 6, the anus. The activities of the gastrointestinal tract, also known as the alimentary canal, are under neural and hormonal control for proper coordination of different parts. The sight, smell, and even the presence of food in the oral cavity can stimulate the secretion of saliva. Gastric and intestinal secretions are also similarly stimulated by neural signals. Furthermore, the muscular activities of different parts of the alimentary canal can be moderated by neural mechanisms. Buccal cavity or oral cavity. Teeth, tongue, saliva. The process of taking food into the body is called ingestion. Ingestion happens through the mouth. The mouth leads to the buccal cavity or oral cavity. The oral cavity has a number of teeth and a muscular tongue. Each tooth is embedded in a socket of the jawbone. The majority of mammals, including humans, form 2 sets of teeth during their life, a set of temporary milk or deciduous teeth known as milk teeth, which are replaced by a set of permanent or adult teeth, known as permanent teeth. An adult human has 32 permanent teeth, which are of 4 different types, namely incisors, canines, premolars, and molars. The arrangement of teeth in each half of the upper and lower jaw in the order of incisors, canines, premolars, and molars is represented by a dental formula, which in humans is 2-1-2-3 over 2-1-2-3. The hard chewing surface of the teeth, made up of enamel, which is the hardest substance in the human body and contains the highest percentage of minerals, helps in the mastication, or chewing, of food. Our mouth has salivary glands that secrete saliva. The saliva breaks down starch into sugars. The saliva secreted into the oral cavity contains electrolytes such as sodium, potassium, chloride, and bicarbonate, as well as enzymes like salivary amylase and lysozyme. The chemical process of digestion is initiated in the oral cavity by the hydrolytic action of the carbohydrate-splitting enzyme salivary amylase. About 30% of starch is hydrolyzed here by this enzyme at an optimum pH of 6.8 into a disaccharide called maltose. Lysozyme present in saliva acts as an antibacterial agent that prevents infections. The tongue is a fleshy, muscular organ attached at the back to the floor of the buccal cavity. It mixes saliva with food during chewing and helps in swallowing food. The tongue is attached to the floor of the oral cavity by the frenulum, which is a fold of skin beneath the tongue. The upper surface of the tongue has small projections called papillae, some of which bear taste buds. Food pipe or esophagus. The oral cavity leads into a short pharynx, which serves as a common passage for food and air. The esophagus and the trachea, also known as the windpipe, open into the pharynx. A cartilaginous flap called the epiglottis prevents the entry of food into the glottis during swallowing. The glottis is the opening of the windpipe. The swallowed food passes into the food pipe or esophagus. The esophagus is a thin, long tube which extends posteriorly, passing through the neck, thorax, and diaphragm, and leads to a J-shaped bag-like structure called the stomach. Mucus in saliva helps in lubricating and adhering the masticated food particles into a bolus. The bolus is then conveyed into the pharynx and then into the esophagus by swallowing or deglutition. The bolus further passes down through the esophagus by successive waves of muscular contractions called peristalsis. The gastroesophageal sphincter controls the passage of food into the stomach. Stomach. The inner lining of the stomach secretes mucus, hydrochloric acid, and digestive juices. The mucus protects the lining of the stomach. The acid kills many bacteria that enter along with the food and makes the medium in the stomach acidic. The digestive juices break down proteins into simpler substances. A muscular sphincter, known as the gastroesophageal sphincter, regulates the opening of the esophagus into the stomach. The stomach, located in the upper left portion of the abdominal cavity, has three major parts: a cardiac portion into which the esophagus opens, a fundic region, and a pyloric portion which opens into the first part of the small intestine.